Sairam students, I hope you all are fine. Today let us continue with the revision of history lesson number 4. What books and burials tell us. Children, today let us revise about how historians study the Rigveda and about cattle, horses and chariots. Now children, let us revise the first topic, that is how historians study the Rigveda. Children, we know that the historians, like archaeologists, what do? They find out about the past. How do they find it out? By material remains. And they also examine written sources as well. Children, material remains means by digging the surface of the earth. And written sources are the sources. That is, they are written in manuscripts, inscriptions, etc. So, the historians and archaeologists find out about the past by material remains as well as by the written sources. And how did they study the Rigveda? Some of the hymns in the Rigveda, they are written in the form of dialogues. And this is part of one such hymn. That is a dialogue between a sage named Vishwamitra and two rivers named Vyas and Satlaj. And what were they worshipped as? These two rivers, they were worshipped as goddesses. Children, this is part of one such hymn that is mentioned in the Rigveda. That is a dialogue between Vishwamitra and the rivers. Vishwamitra, he says the rivers to come down from the mountains like two swift horses and like two shining cows that lick their calves. And he says that you move like chariots to the sea and with the power of Indra. And he says that you are full of water and wish to unite with one another. Then the rivers, they say that we who are full of water, we move along the path the gods have made for us. And once we start flowing, then we cannot stop. And why are you praying to us, O sage? Vishwamitra, he says that, O sisters, please listen to me, the singer who has come from a distance with his chariots and carts. So, do not let your waters rise above our axles, so that we can cross safely. Then the rivers, they say that we will listen to your prayers, so that you can cross safely. So children, here we can see that the historians, they point out that this hymn was composed in the area where the rivers Vyas and Satlaj flow. And they also suggest that the sage, he lived in a society where horses and cows, they were valued animals. So, the rivers are compared to horses and cows. And other rivers, especially the Indus and its other tributaries, and the Saraswati are also named in the hymns. And the Ganga and Yamuna, they are named only once. So, children, can you list the names of rivers that are mentioned in the Vedas? Vyas, Satlaj, Indus, Saraswati, Ganga and Yamuna. These are the names of the rivers that are mentioned in the Vedas. Children, this is a page from a manuscript of the Rigveda. And this manuscript of the Rigveda was written on birch bark, which was found in Kashmir. So children, what was found in Kashmir related to Rigveda? A manuscript of the Rigveda was found on the birch bark in Kashmir. And about 150 years ago, it was used to prepare one of the earliest printed texts of the Rigveda, as well as an English translation. And where is it preserved now? It is now preserved in a library of Pune, which is in Maharashtra. Now let us revise about cattle, horses and chariots. Children, there are many prayers in the Rigveda for cattle, for children, especially for the sons, and for the horses. And these horses, they were yoked to chariots. Children, yoked, it means a wooden cross piece that is fastened over the necks of two horses, and it is attached to the chariots. And these chariots, they were used in the battles. And why were these battles fought? These battles, they were fought to capture cattle. So children, for whom are the prayers in the Rigveda? In Rigveda, the prayers are for cattle, for children, especially for sons, and for horses. And the battles, they were also fought for land. Children, the land, it was important for pasture. Pasture means the land that is covered with grass and other low plants that are suitable for grazing animals, especially cattle or sheep. And the land, it was also useful for growing hardy crops that ripened quickly, such as barley. And children, some battles, they were fought for water and to capture people. So children, what were the various purposes of fighting battles as depicted by the Rigveda? Battles, they were fought for cattle, land, water, and for capturing people. And children, who kept the wealth? Some of the wealth that was obtained, it was kept by the leaders, and some was given to the priests, and the rest of the wealth, it was distributed amongst the people, and some wealth, it was used for the performance of yagyas or sacrifices. Children, what do you understand by the word yagyas? The word yagyas means sacrifices in which offerings were made into the fire. And for whom were these offerings meant for? These offerings, they were meant for gods and goddesses. And what did these offerings include? These offerings included ghee, grain, and in some cases animals. And children, who took part in these wars? Most men, they took part in these wars. And there was no regular army, but there were assemblies where people met and they discussed matters of war and peace. So children, where did people discuss matters of war and peace? People, they met and discussed the matters of war and peace in assemblies. And whom did they choose? They chose leaders. Children, we choose leaders who are brave and skillful, isn't it? So, who were the leaders whom they chose? They chose the leaders who were often brave and skillful warriors. Now children, can you describe about how the Rigveda depicts cattle, horses, chariots and battles? Rigveda has prayers for cattle and horses, and the horses, they were used in battles. The battles were fought for cattle, land, people and water, and most men, they took part in wars, and there was not any regular army, and there were assemblies where people met and discussed matters of war and peace, and they chose brave warriors as their leaders. So children, this is how the Rigveda depicts cattle, horses, chariots and battles. Now children, let's have a quiz. Multiple choice questions. First one. In a hymn in the Rigveda, Vishwamitra used the word sisters for the two rivers, dash and dash. A. Ganga and Yamuna. B. Vyas and Satluj. C. Indus and Saraswati. What's the correct answer? Correct. B. Vyas and Satluj. In a hymn in the Rigveda, Vishwamitra used the word sisters for the two rivers, Vyas and Satluj. Second one. The manuscript of the Rigveda on birch bark was found in dash. A. Kerala. B. Delhi. C. Kashmir. What's the correct answer? Correct. C. Kashmir. The manuscript of the Rigveda on birch bark was found in Kashmir. Third one. Some of the hymns in the dash are in the form of dialogues. A. Samaveda. B. Rigveda. C. Yajurveda. What's the correct option? Correct. B. Rigveda. Some of the hymns in the Rigveda are in the form of dialogues. Fourth one. Some wealth was used for the performance of dash or sacrifices. A. Prayers. B. Yagyas. C. Both A and B. What's the correct option? Correct. B. Yagyas. Some wealth was used for the performance of yagyas or sacrifices. Now children, state whether the following statements are true or false. First one, the Rigveda contains prayers for cattle, children and horses. A. True. B. False. What's the correct option? Correct. A. True. Second one, the rivers Ganga and Byas are compared to horses and cows. A. True. B. False. What's the correct answer? Correct. B. False. Third one, battles were fought for land, water and to capture people. A. True. B. False. What's the correct option? Yes. A. True. Fourth one, most men took part in the wars. A. True. B. False. What's the correct answer? Correct. A. True. Very good children, those who have guessed all the answers correctly. Children, today we have done part 2 revision of history lesson number 4. In our next class, we shall continue with the revision of this lesson. Till we meet again, goodbye children.